You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. With me, as always, is the co-host, Englentine.
Hey, true believers.
Our special guest coming on with us this evening is Dr. Venkman. Doctor,
How's it going, Doctor?
Doctor. It's going well. I see that we have Christy Miller in channel already. How are you doing this evening? Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Tonight, we're going to talk about Chernobyl, part two. For us is episodes 3, 4, and 5, meaning the rest of the season. We've actually had a lot of feedback on the show, and I think it's been incredible. I will say that there is a nuclear power plant not too far from where we're broadcasting now, live underground in the control station beneath the Pine Hills Palace in an undisclosed bunker next to the Institute for the Criminally Insane, while Daisy and Max are running around patrolling things, our German shepherds. So that being said, I will just start first, and then I'll call on you guys. Overall, I gotta say, I was hoping this movie wasn't going to be like a lot of shows that had a few filler episodes, like maybe the last season of Punisher, for example, that comes to mind. I thought this whole thing was very, very tight. I loved it. I thought the going right into episode 3, I couldn't wait to see more. It didn't have to build up to anything for me. I found myself being more attracted to what I would call the human side of the stories. Like, for example, all of episode 3, where they're having to go through and cull the herd and kill the dogs and all the wild animals and all that. I found that actually a hell of a lot more fascinating. And to me, when they would cut away and talk about the technical aspects and the anti-communism stuff that we would see, while interesting, I found myself wanting it to go back to that. And I felt that way all through the end. So overall, I'm just going to simply say, without being specific on each episode, loved it. Really, really gem of a show, I think, for this year. A big surprise to me, which I'm always glad there's maybe one or two of this year. E, what did you think, bro?
Pretty much the same thing. I really like the fact that they did not try to spread this over a 10-episode series or anything along those lines. It was get the story in, get the story out, get all the drama you need to. It's very well acted. It's got an excellent cast. I'm got to say there were a couple of scenes that I thought were almost horrific.
Give me one.
It's I do believe this is in episode 2, not 3, but it's the one where you actually see the guy has melted.
Yep.
That is episode 3, and it's not set up like a horror film. But if you think about just what happens to the human body, just the kind of thing they're dealing with, and not only are they dealing with radiation, but the big villain is communism. And the fact that it's either you tell the truth and you get the job done, or and even if you get the job done, your life is over. Not only by death, but they might actually take care of your family as well. And I don't mean in a good way. Or you risk having this happen to more and more people because they're not going to listen. So I really liked that particular element of the story.
Was there anything about this that surprised you?
No, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just we've been through this. We have been through this, of course, by living through it, but also we've been through hearing exactly how bad the USSR was. We've heard how bad communism was. We've heard how bad nuclear meltdowns can be. So this was more of a confirmation. I don't think I was surprised by anything, just frustrated that this didn't have to happen the way it happened.
Right. I think that's a good point. I think that's ultimately one of the lessons that you can learn from the show. But we'll come back to that here in a moment. Doctor, what were your initial impressions?
Like I said, when I originally started watching this series, I agreed with you about when you saw that apartment building. That scene where you see the flash and then you see the loud bang. I mean, that hooked me right there. But then, I was blown away. I know there's radiation, but I'm like, for episode 3, I didn't expect them to actually show the guys. I knew originally the story I'd read about it, a couple years back, because there were articles, popping up. And yeah, so I knew there was radiation, but I was like, I didn't think they'd actually show it. And now, like you said, it's like a scene of a horror movie. You just see the guy's face, like the skin, because it generates, it's melted off. It just looks like you're looking at some kind of decaying monster because their body slowly was decaying. So So episode 3 was really powerful from that because you see these guys, and one guy is only 25 years old, and he was then they think about to die, and for what? Because well, the whole you watch this story, it shows you how politics and just negligence, just ruined everything. Safety, safety stuff was thrown out the window, and then so episode 3 already got you in the tears, because you're these guys and it's just died for nothing. So then you go to top it off, for all you dog lovers, it's just another low blow when they're going there just shooting all the dogs, pets.
Yeah.
And he said, and they purposely bring in this young kid he's not military whatsoever. They bring him in for a more emotional, a rack on you. They want you to really feel it. And you step in this kid's shoes, and he's like, "You want me to kill dogs?" He's like, "Don't worry, just call them. They're friendly. They'll come up to you. Just go, just whistle." And so he does it, and then he's like, "I can't shoot it." You're thinking this guy, this kid's he's never fired a gun. Doesn't look like it. If he has, I don't think he's ever done hunting. But yeah, you see this dog come up to him, and he's like afraid, because he shoots it, and so then he stands there because he's like, I just killed a dog or a living animal. The guy comes up to him and yells at him. He's like, "Dude, you have to kill him. Don't end her suffering." And he explains to him like, this because the fact that this kid's shooting dogs is no different than from the first time that they went into Russia went to Afghanistan, in the 80s. Like, this guy, he shot a guy in the stomach. You never really get over it, you just learn to live with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, because again, to me, the human element is the most powerful thing here. Having a force that's unseen, of course, is there. A few technical things I kind of wanted to mention and talk up. One, when you get so in tune to a show and you can't wait for it to go on, I think kind of like when it's really bad, really good or really bad, either way, when you're emotionally invested on one end of the scale there, you have a tendency to nitpick on lots of little things. And I think the number one rule here for all of us to keep in mind is, one, it's a TV show. So there's going to be, it's going to be Hollywoodified. It's going to be put on steroids. We're going to enjoy doing it. That doesn't mean everything in there is 100% accurate or correct, or what radiation can do, or this or that. So I kind of, as long as it's done well enough, for the most part, as long as it's not really gross or negligent, I can kind of let it go. Especially since most people watching this really probably, I'm going to assume, have very little working knowledge of radiation. So that being said, I don't know what the term would be when people are talking, like when they're walking and talking in medical dramas or something, and expositioning on what's happening, and letting the audience know that. You have that in here, but I thought there were some terrific lines. Like, for example, the bigwig who comes to round up the coal miners or whatever like that, and the dude's like, "Hey, you can go ahead and shoot us all. We ain't going with you. Tell us what's going on." And the guy looks at him and he realizes, "Yeah, I could shoot you guys." But he goes, "Man, I'll probably get shot because I got to get these guys here to do this job because nobody else is going to." So he actually is honest with me. He says, "Look, guys, they didn't tell me anything I didn't need to know."
Oh,
I mean, it was fantastic.
When they another thing, like, because I said the radiation, you didn't expect to see that. So then, so you're all serious, you're all like, tense from all this watching, and then they go to the miners where they're digging, we'll go in there, like, well, no fan. So next thing you know, they're butt naked. You see their every full thing. I would not expect that from it, from this. But then again, it takes place in Ukraine, I believe, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, their customs are different. Like they said, like the guy said, like, well, they do what the old miners used to do. They work out and they dig the holes while they're butt naked.
Yeah.
They got the hats on though and the shoes, but that's about it though.
I do like what they said at the end, the whole explanation about how nobody wanted to do the miners' work, and so they were these tough guys who really didn't take a lot of crap from even the party members, because what are you going to do? Get down in the hole with them? So they had a little bit of power just for being the people who would go in the hole and dig.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because when you're talking about the coal miners, I was thinking of another scene where, okay, the guys are there, they're doing the work, and the lead dude's talking to the scientist. They're in that room or whatever, and the scientist is like, he basically doesn't know how to handle people because he hasn't been in that situation. He's behind a desk, he's an academic, and then one guy's basically say, if you lie to them, they're going to know because they work in the dark. They see everything. And I love that little double entendre line that they had about, hey, if you're going to bullshit these guys who are working for you, they're not going to work as hard for you. Maybe not. But that's how you handle this group of people. So this is where sometimes people maybe get sense of thinking of people in certain classes or functions or whatever. I didn't think there was really an outpouring of, class status there going on, which does exist in communism and whatnot. But yeah, I was going to ask you in all seriousness here, if we go back to the 70s and 80s, growing up, even though it was kind of glorified in TVs and movies all the time, especially with bad guys in the late 80s, but remember, it was actually an insult if you called somebody a communist or said they thought like a commie. If you're a commie, you are a friggin' scumbag, am I right?
Yep.
I mean, you're a socialist, or you're a Democrat, or you're a liberal. I mean, bedwetting liberal is probably the worst term, and people laughed at that, but they knew that meant certain things. It's different now. But if you were a commie, you were the scum of the earth.
The 80s, yeah, especially since it's one in the 80s, because with the whole Cold War still kind of like going on with the Soviet Union. So,
yeah, I remember everybody got. You remember that one movie? That was what was it? The Day After, and then there was another one. It was like America with a K, and it was all about what if the Russians actually took over America.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And oh, yes,
Chris Christopherson and what's his name? Neil. What's his name from Jurassic Park? He played a party man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was funny because there were people who actually realized that by taking over America, they kind of destroyed the world because you destroy the productivity of America itself by going communist.
If you look at it too from, from the communist perspective, we have X amount of resources. We're going to allocate this. And he, even everybody there in the show in Chernobyl would sit there and say, whatever you need, you have. We'll give you everything. We have this, we have that. We'll put everything to you. But that's what they were all about. What are we going to produce and how much? But the state controls it all. So you didn't know, and they hoarded everything. Whereas when you have that profit incentive in a capitalist system that America is actually based off of, it represents, somebody's interest in trying to have a product and market that people may or may not buy. So again, I could argue capitalism with people every day. We don't have a pure form of it, of course, the way we have all these regulations and not. But the United States in the 80s was so damn big, growing. Japan was too at the time. And China, of course, was up and coming, in India, which are now somewhat big players. But just the idea that somebody could do that to the United States, we would laugh at your near commie faces and just send Chuck Norris over there and you'd learn your lesson. I mean, that was really like the sentiment. Yeah. It wasn't, okay, it didn't matter. It was Rocky IV. Rocky's going to beat him. Why? Because he's American. I mean, that's how everybody felt for years. It was so, oh man, it was just awesome. Christy's saying there in chat, she goes, I hate to sound corny, but the dog scene, it's so hard, I think, to work with animals and kids sometimes in movies that when they do it good, you're like, okay, that's not too bad. But then when they do it bad, you go, wow, that must be really, really hard. But yeah, there is something about dogs versus cats that just is, they're working you and deciding that they're going to do it, and they chose to do that. But the point I was going to say, technically speaking, that makes the dog scenes even more terrifying is the fact that I think it was episode 4 that they started off the guards going to the town, and it might be 3, where they're removing people. And the old lady gives the guy the speech, hey, I've been here, been through wars, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going anywhere. And so he throws the milk out. And you're like, okay, he's giving her a chance. He's demonstrating to her an effective level of power. You better come because I'm going to take care of this. Then he goes to shoot her. But really, what was terrifying was he shot the cow, the only thing that had any friggin' value to her at all. And you just saw her heart melt. So you had 2 instances of foreshadowing, but escalation. And so by the time they got to the dogs, you're like, yeah, they're going to put these dogs away. Yeah, very powerful stuff. But the buildup to what made it effective.
Well, the thing is that they really get you, like, okay, they're just going to kill like the adult dogs. But then it comes the puppies in the room. And the kid just, he lost it. That was realistic, there's no way I could personally just kill a dog or if I had to, or just kill puppies in general. That's like the guy, the older guy came in there and he's like, no, I got it. And you sit down, they cut to him, the kid outside, and you just hear pop, 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 pop.
Mm-hmm.
And you know exactly in your mind what's going on. Like that.
I just don't know why they didn't have handguns there. That's about my only complaint. You figured they'd have both, but for close quarters.
What's cool that they showed the rifles how they loaded and stuff.
Yeah, because you used to tell me about Americans would hold their guns a certain way, and I don't know if that's up or like Marines would do it a certain way, but like Russians held them differently or something. Because that guy, the kid, obviously he was green, and the other guys were like, "Hey, you need to do it this way. You need to do it that way." Do you recall that, or am I just making something up there?
I don't remember the conversation. I know my dad, he might have been the one to say it, or I must have repeated something he told me about how you had to hold your gun a certain way. So, one, you're not going to accidentally shoot the person in front of you, and two, right, it's always ready to be fired, because their entire when you're a ranger, and this, once again, I learned from my dad. I've never been an Army Ranger, but they would teach them a martial art where they would be able to fight, but always return to their rifle. So it was always held like with the muzzle facing downward, but it was always held in a certain way that you could get to it very easily.
Yeah. All right, let's focus here on the ending part to it, because my big concern basically was going to how are they going to wrap this up? Where's it going to go? Is it going to peak and is it going to fade, or is it going to build and escalate to the very end and all that? The one thing before that got really intense with the Vienna discussions and the ending and all that too was what I wrote down phone fill, where the guy got so pissed. I think he finally got broken. He destroyed the phone. I'm like, remember when you could just beat the shit out of a phone and you're afraid to have the phone used on you? I missed that so bad, because the sounds of him hammering. We've all hammered phones like that. They would take such a friggin' beating. You could kick them, you could throw them. The cords would be long. Oh my God! Ever since Stranger Things, when I would see those phones, I'm like, man, I almost want one of those old ones back.
The problem was
that you would carry around.
You can't get mad at someone anymore on the phone, because before it would be like, and fuck you.
People text now these days, so yeah. Plus you break your phone, you can always get a new phone from your if you have a contract right away. But yeah, those phones though. Those were the landline ones, the dial ones, special rotary ones.
Mm-hmm.
Those were in every movie. You'd see someone get beat to death bludgeon with the receiver.
Oh God, they were just the right hand in there, and if you do the right codes, you could get change out of them and all that. And I just was like, oh yeah, they even have the old style stuff in there. It made the show really good, the production stuff, because even though it was going on in the 80s, mid to late 80s, the stuff there looked dated, which it was. And there was nothing high tech. I think they got a lot right production wise, which really helped get into it. So. Doctor, final thoughts on the entire series as a whole, particularly episodes 3, 4, and 5. What'd you think? What'd you feel? Would you see it again?
5, I'll watch it. Probably watch it again. First, I'll probably wait a year so I forget it.
Right.
Then, so it's so then I'll rewatch it. But I mean, episode 5, my only complaint was they didn't show him in Sweden. They skipped that. I mean, I would obviously he lied. Yes, in real life, his character. He did lie in Sweden, and said, there's nothing wrong. It was, So, yeah. But, yeah, I'd watch it again. I mean, I'd still recommend it to anybody who's never seen that, But, yeah, just be prepared, yeah, you're dealing with radiation. So, that's my only thing. I'm not going to say, there's people, scoring it. I'll just say, just keep in mind, that this is a nuclear reactor, fella, and the way they did it was really great though. They really brought the science into it, especially the last episode. They explained everything, the charts.
Yeah, exactly. And again, for the person watching at home, I agree with you.
But yeah, and the one lady who's in there, the nuclear physicist, she's a made up character to help she's to help emotionalize it for the viewers.
I kept staring at her, and it didn't hit me till basically the end of the show. She was the one in the Red Dragon feeling up the tiger's, monsterness, if you know what I'm saying, right?
I don't remember. I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, okay. No. So, E, what about you? Those damn accents Christy Miller's saying. E, what did you think overall? Oh, E may not be with us.
Might be Google Hang.
Yeah, I know.
Google Hangouts is
storms over here right now that are live. They've been really vicious. I got stuck in traffic by an accident coming home. Yeah, so ultimately, the consensus, I think, for all three of us is the fact that this has been a really good show. I know that for us, having just discussed this superficially, the first episode we did on Chernobyl talking about it, the first stream, lot of feedback. I know it's pretty hot. So we get a lot of really great word of mouth. I appreciate the fact that a lot of people have gone back and listened to it. The king is here. Jay, we were just finishing up there, bro. Did you have any thoughts you wanted to add on about Chernobyl? Put them in there. Those damn accents, Christy. Yeah, I mean, they really tried not Americanize them or Russianing them up too much. So, you know, it is what it is.
The original two guys, though, they were responsible.
Mhm.
Not the guy with the glasses. It was the other guy, the long curly hair. He's also on trial with the doctor. I thought his accent was pretty well for being, Russian. And same with the guy who played Boris. He was with I think that's what his name was, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, he actually is Russian in real life. He moved. He was born in Ukraine, but they moved before all this happened. So.
Okay, can y'all hear this time?
You are
Yep.
not live.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually talking all through that. I was like, can they not hear me? I don't, because I was commenting on quite a few things.
You had the Dalton issue last night.
I guess. Yeah. I guess so.
This is Englentine, isn't it?
That it is. That it is. Yes, the one and the only. Hey, Jay, what up?
Yeah, he just doctor just got through giving his final thoughts on that, so I was swinging it over to you to see what you thought, just overall, generally,
I thought it was very well done. I like the fact that they're willing to finally let the truth get out there, but they don't have a choice in it anymore. People, at this point, it's out. Very well acted, well shot. I thought even the cinematography's done well. I do appreciate the fact that they took 15 minutes of the last episode just to tell you what happened to the real people. So it's not just it's obviously like a dramatic documentary almost, but it really does let you know who survived, when did they die, how many people died. So I kind of like that part at the end as well, just watching what happened to people in real life. Overall, it's a very good show. I don't know how many times I would revisit it though. It's just
walking away for 5 or 10 years from now or something when you're in that right mood, or when there's another radiation disaster in the world, if there is one, you're like, oh, let me go back and watch it.
It's like Schindler's List. Very well done film. I appreciate it. I thought it was a great movie. I'm not going to watch it every day. It's just not something you put on unless you want to watch an exercise in how you do a good docudrama.
Well, for you, I had, before I wrap up, I had one observation and then one question, I think, generally speaking, for you. And this just was the observation for anybody out there. From what I understand, if I read it correctly earlier today, when I was looking up some of the episodes and checking out the ratings and stuff, did you realize that overall, just because of the word of mouth of the show and them voting on it, it's overall, I guess, good average on whatever site I read or whatever is like 97 or 98%. In other words, the whole point is not that this was considered a fantastic show by the people who watched it and they enjoyed it. It's considered, and this is where somebody was trying to generate some hype. They're saying that this is even a higher ranking of any show ever on HBO, and that includes Game of Thrones.
I can see that, especially this last season. Game of Thrones really hacked off a lot of people to the point of not caring. But yeah, I can see that.
I didn't think the hype train would catch that quick, but I got to say that. The other thing too is that I wanted to ask, what your opinion was. Is we were talking the other day with biopics, and I know that we'd mentioned about Rocket Man being out, and now there'll be a slew of them to come out because that's the new small little micro trend. With this being successful, I'm wondering if there's the potential for HBO or Stars or any of these online services to do more, because immediately talking with some old nerdy friends of mine, we were talking about the show, and I said, what about that one in India? When was that? There was a big time gas explosion in India, I want to say a year or two before Chernobyl, that was huge, that most people don't remember. It was even more obscure than Chernobyl because it was India at the time. Nobody paid attention to that. And it was nasty. I want to say it was cyanide that got released from a train or something, but it was very similar to Chernobyl in what happened as far as what led up to it. I'm going, God, I guess that would be fair game, just like disasters. Do you think we'll see several more disaster shows?
Oh, yes, of course. That's just the way Hollywood works.
Huh.
Chernobyl was big. Okay, what other thing that happened probably in the 80s that people might be interested in, and they'll make a TV show out of it? Of course, they won't get the right message make it well done, get a good cast, make sure it's directed well, make sure it's well paced, but they'll learn the superficial lesson and give us something, that's less than Chernobyl, but still about a disaster.
If they want to follow up this, they could do the Fukushima disaster.
That does come to mind. You're right on that. Although not a lot of people died in that. I mean, it's TV. No. Yeah. It's not. It's glorified. I mean, and of course they take a lot of liberties with it. So not everything in the show's right, as much as it may seem that way. But
wasn't there also they could also cover that place that Sound Hill's based off of, where they had the huge coal mine fire. It's been burning for the past 30, 40 years now.
Challenger,
all that stuff.
Yeah, Christy's saying in chat, what about the Challenger disaster? And I go, they might have had a TV thing on that once.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, TV
but
movie.
It wasn't like this. So
with episodes, you're able to cover more stuff. These were each hour episodes. So
yeah, the nerds could have Richard Feynman in there, and just how they went through the whole O-ring thing and all that too. I mean, that would be interesting. I mean, that'd be very political too. HBO's got to find something to replace Game of Thrones too. But Chernobyl, like I said, was a welcome surprise.
So I was reading, and it said 1,000 women moved back a couple weeks after the disaster, and only 100 of their descendants are still alive.
Well, here's the key thing, without going off topic on it too much. Radiation you cannot think of as being like disease, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like contagious, like a cold or the flu. It's an energy thing, and it's just the way it transmits and stuff, and the distance between objects and how much you get. The rate of how much you get and how much of it you get as an aggregate are different things. And so I think that sort of show takes some liberties just in general. I don't know if the numbers they spout were accurate or not, but yeah, a lot of people just said, it's overblown, let's go back there. And some people might argue that radiation does good things. Like if you watch Godzilla and everything bloomed afterwards, that's an exaggeration of some theories some people have about radiation. But we'll see what they come up with. Maybe they'll do like a different radiation one. God knows that, Englentine can be right only so much, but he probably is when he says that they'll screw it up.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah, like I said, they're going to get the wrong lessons from this. Always happens.
All right, anything there you need to plug there, E? Wait a minute. You're 18,000 plus subscribing. Wait a minute. Is that 19,000 now?
No, I still think I'm in the 18s.
Okay. What's going on over there on the I Love Comics
channel?
I'm
being shafted. Are you kidding me? I'm being fucked up in my other one. I had a video I just dropped, and in less than an hour it does 100 views, and then I go away, come back 4 hours later, and it only did 55 more. So how is that freaking possible?
Well, looking at it analytically, I will just ask, because maybe we got enough people on channel now, 7 people are watching, maybe some of them actually have the answer, because I'm not as experienced as some people on here with YouTube. I'm still a beginner. Would you say that the action that happened to you just now was maybe James Bond, Timothy Dalton-ish, or perhaps you got John Wooed?
Okay, see, you know what? I'm going to go with Timothy Dalton, because when he was James Bond action filled, he was fucking brutal, and I felt like I just got brutally fucked.
That amuses me. But you are streaming here in a little bit. Is that correct, sir? Is that official?
Yeah, I'm going to wait. Right now it would almost be senseless for me to live stream, because right now Doomcock and Gary from Nerdrotic Channel are live streaming. Mm-hmm. So they're 2 big guns. I'm going to give it an hour or so, and then I'm going to jump on and just start. It's going to be a bitch fest. It really is. It's just going to be me cursing a lot and yelling and God dang it, this and that and all that kind of stuff, just to get stuff off my chest. I haven't done one of these. I need to, seriously.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I know you were really itching to get on too, so I'm glad we got a chance to promote that too. Yep. Again, I wanted to say thanks to everybody showing up tonight. Chernobyl's been one of our more successful shows here on the Extreme Movie Show. I wanted to thank Doctor for guesting with us tonight. Go ahead. You had something else?
And at some point, I wouldn't mind doing if you guys have seen any movies, because I know I did a Dark Phoenix review for this channel here, as well as in that review is also Ma and the Netflix movie Always Be My Maybe. Mm-hmm. But I just me and Gail went out last night and we saw Rocket Man.
Okay.
So Yeah, I wouldn't mind if you want to do a live stream talking about movies that we saw. So
I can make an executive decision with the fact that we are peaking at 7 people. Would you like to discuss Rocket Man right now quickly?
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Let's do it, sir.
Let's do it. It'll be buried under Chernobyl. Why not?
Give it to me.
I was actually surprised at this film. I'm watching it and I'm thinking, okay, we just saw Queen, Freddie Mercury and Bohemian Rhapsody and everything. And that was a fun film. Whether you thought it was brilliant or whatever, or how accurate it was, at least it was fun. So I'm sitting down for Rocket Man, and it starts off with this orchestrated version of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And I'm thinking, okay, this is interesting. And he's in rehab. Like, it starts off, the whole thing is told in flashback while he's in rehab. Mm-hmm. And they say, well, what were you like as a kid? And there's this kid, and he starts singing Bitches Back. And I went, holy shit, it's a musical. And I thought, this is going to be a joy, man. I'm like really into this, because a lot of them are very serious. You could tell they have the music, but it's only played in concert form. But this one is using Elton John's songs as a musical. I thought, okay, well, this is a really good take on it. Plus, I like musicals. So, and then.
But what happened?
Here's what happened. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. And then as we learn, okay, he's got problems at home. Fine. That's great. He finds solace in the music. He meets Bernie Taupin, and and I love the fact that they really do cement, hey, look, we are the real family. We're the brothers. They never have an argument, they say in the movie. And you get that, like, immediately they're friends. And obviously their songwriting collaboration over the years has proven that this particular fact is true. And then you show them get famous, and he's got problems. You show them in every stage of the career, he is one morose mother. Seriously, he is just sad sack all the way through. And about an hour and a half in, I'm like, gosh, show a little happiness here, guys.
Really?
Yeah, it really is. It's really a slog with musical interludes. It's not a bad film. It's just what I thought was going to be fun and entertaining, and just going to show the life. It's like that. It's in all biopics, it seems to have the rise, the fall, and then the rise again. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're interested in music. Let's go. And of course, you see the band rise. They get to their peak. That's when they get on drugs, and then they have the fall, and then you have the redemption, and then of course they're on stage at Live Aid. That's your usual biopic. But this was, they get music and they never have that rise. It shows them get famous, but you never get the rah, hey, way to go, Elton John feeling to it. It's all, he got famous, but he's still feeling like crap, and he's not, and it just takes you on that.
Saying he's a sad sack.
Yeah, all the way through. So while it's very strange because I liked it, I just can't recommend it. Because of that.
Stop.
There's nothing.
Are you telling me Englentine, I Love Comics, super popular channel, is not recommending to see this movie?
If I do, it's got to have a footnote. Be very careful. You will you might want to slit your own wrist third of the way through, or 2/3 of the way through. It's just this is not a film you go in and you enjoy, you have fun. I will tell you this: the music is awesome. I do and technically this movie is good. What's his name? The guy who plays Elton John, who did Kingsman, Terrigen. I don't know his name, but he's excellent in it. And everybody does their own singing. It is a musical where, when you see them.
This is the only musical you have never, ever approved. I am shocked. I mean, I'm not even stunned. I'm forlorn, sir. I am aghast. I'm sitting down here. My breath is short now.
It's a C+ from me, which is
they can't recommend it.
Yeah, the lowest grade that we could still go, or the highest grade without recommending. I might, after giving it a little more thought, I might change it to a B-, which will be the lowest grade while recommending. But at this point, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't deliver a movie that I can really say I ever want to see. Again, if I want to feel the joy of Elton John music, I don't need to see the movie stars sing it, which, by the way, a lot of people proven that they've got some good voices. I didn't know, including Rob Stark from Game of Thrones. He's in there. And he's got a great voice.
That's nothing the little after processing can't tweak, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I did like the fact that it was an actual musical. There are dance scenes. There are well-produced dance scenes and something. Saturday Night for Fighting, whatever it's called. That is a great musical number where it's basically showing him transition from a kid and a teenager who plays for his family into an adult. And it just tells you basically that part of his life. And you find some songs have always been biographical, and or at least he made them that way. It was, like I said, it was very well made, but just because of the tone itself, ultimately a drag, and I can't recommend it.
Ladies and gentlemen listening, and those of you getting ready to listen, for our bonus extended coverage here on the Extreme Movie Show, you've just heard Englentine not approve a musical.
Taryn Egerton, thank you, Kayla, the cinema queen. Kaylee, thank you. I hate it when my mind goes like that, but Taryn Egerton is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. I think that there would be at least a talks of an award if this were released in Academy season. At the very least, Golden Globe. I think he did a great job with the acting and the music part of it, the dancing, the whole 9 yards. It's just the tone of the film is what really drags it down.
Well, good to know. Thank you for sharing, because sharing is caring. All right, so I just wanted to close up myself by saying again, thanks to everybody for listening. I appreciate the fact that people are retweeting the show and the links and all that too, helping us grow. We picked up a subscriber today. Woohoo! +1. We're at 44 now. So
holy shit.
Well, it's, you know what? It's the March to 1,000. So I appreciate the fact that people on here are organic, I guess is the stupid term to use, because I'm not trying to go out and buy people and all that too. So I really appreciate that too. I'm seeing a lot more activity on Twitter. I'm seeing a lot more people listening to the Chuck Norris, or really the Kick in It, or really our action reviews that we're doing kind of offhand a little bit. Doctor's been helping out with that a little bit, just guesting on that. I know E's trying to put some stuff together. And E, I got to sit there and say, Tuesday night we've got a very special stream. You want to take a minute and just talk about it so people understand what's going on?
Absolutely. Tuesday night we have dubbed Top 10 Tuesday. Right now, the first 10 weeks of Top 10 Tuesday is going to be talking about the 80s. We've already done 1980. We've done 1981. This week is 1982. And yes, after we're finished with the 80s, it's whatever. It could be top 10 action, top 10 romance, top 10 whatever the heck. It could be anything we could think of. Top 10 movies where people drink beer all throughout the film might actually be one. It doesn't matter. So long as we could come up with 10 of them, we're going to have a list. So
we're going to have a members only stream.
Okay. Yes. Top 10 movies where the actresses wear members only jackets.
We've penciled in the Dying Lane stream. Amy Johnston will do another movie next month. We'll spotlight that. We're doing Chuck Norris right now because there's a Twitter poll going out there. If you check the streams about who's the best action star of the 80s are, right now it's a toss-up between Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Steven Seagal's getting actually 0 hits, and then of course for some reason the doctor decided that
Jackie Chan is not 80s for Americans, man. It's not Jackie Chan. Look, I gotta say, of them, I do like Jackie Chan the best, but for Americans, he's more 90s than he is 80s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just not right.
I didn't really specify as just American movies,
Go with, like I said, what was his name? Scott Thompson or whatever his name from Jim Cotta, or who was that kid who played
Thomas or Thomas?
Yeah, who played Bruce Leroy. Let's get him in there. Yeah. Seriously. There's a lot of people. A lot of American Ninja, for cripe's sake.
I know.
Yeah, there's a lot more 1980s martial arts stars.
Well, they wouldn't let me choose more. I was going to put Michael Dudikoff in there, but they wouldn't let me.
Yeah,
there's just too many people. You can only get up to 4.
So you get rid of Jackie Chan, bring him to the 90s, put Michael Dudikoff in there, dude. He was awesome in American Ninja. he also in the was he the actor that was in Bachelor Party, the one that tried to kill himself with an electric razor?
Yeah,
come on, that guy's been all over the 80s.
Well,
but
to be covered. I mean, to be continued. However you want to look at it. Right now, we're going off with the most important, with the most extreme, and right now that's Chuck Norris. You know, if we want to get goofy, we'll do something else with that. Certainly. If you're hating on musicals, well, then maybe we'll hate on Chuck Norris. But until we get to that point, like when he does the dog movie, we're not going to change. So,
top 10 musicals, number 1, Rocket Man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna depress the fuck out of you,
Jay. I will apologize for the fapping sounds you claim to hear coming from Dr. Ventman's keyboard. I understand he likes to look stuff up while we're doing this. This is supposed to be, you're not supposed to be sexist, doctor. This is a porn-free zone while we're on the Extreme Movie Show until we introduce it. I mean, obviously we're trying to grow, so the algorithm that YouTube is putting out there on us is about beautiful, artistic, strong female women, as well as strong, independent, capable men. And it's just a match made in heaven, the movies that we're covering here. So if Englintine's not happy about a musical with somebody, that's perfectly acceptable. But if you're sitting there making all these little, you know, sounds and all that on your own, do that on your private time, sir. No fapping allowed. Okay, this is a no fap zone.
I would have to say it's funny that those sounds come when my muke's mighted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if Englentine wants to go rub one out, you know, and say I'll be back in 5, I'm okay with that. He's just gone. We don't need to hear it. So
yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Have a great night, everybody. Until we have a next stream, as always, stay extreme.
And
good night.
Thank you very much for watching.